Hello, I'm Phil Champagne of Hayek Lab, a Tezos baking service. And today we're exploring the Hayek Lab delegation dashboard. To optimize our customers' experience when delegating with us, Hayek Lab has created a detailed dashboard containing all the relevant information you could need. As a Tezos delegator, you'll be able to monitor your investment more easily with this financial tool. The relationship between Tezos and baking cycles can be quite confusing and can certainly be a challenge to understand for people new to Tezos. Our dashboard was designed with clarity and ease of use in mind. Let me introduce you to all its features. First, let's start with our cycle explanation graphic at the top. When you go to our dashboard at hayeklab.com/dashboard, you'll notice the graphic at the top, with the current cycle shown in the middle. At the time I'm making this video, the current cycle is cycle 65. Cycles contains 4,096 blocks, and there's approximately 1 block per minute. As basic baking knowledge, it is important to know that baking blocks happens every cycle, and consequently, all cycles are a baking cycle. But also, the network takes snapshots in every cycle in order to establish the baking rights to determine which baker gets to bake every block of a cycle, 7 cycles in the future. So snapshots are taken every cycle in order to establish the baking rights bakers will have 7 cycles later. During the current cycle, right now this is cycle 65, the network is taking snapshots, which record the amount of Tez you're currently staking with Hayek Lab. This will determine the amount of Tez you will receive as rewards for baking cycle 72. Of course, the more Tez you are staking in the moment of the snapshot, the more rewards you can expect to be deposited in your account at the time of the release of the rewards. In other words, the snapshot currently being taken in cycle 65 involving your KT address will be used to determine your share of the baking rewards for cycle 72. But similarly, the snapshot taken in cycle 58 is used to determine the baking rights and associated rewards for the current cycle 65. Now you need to know there are multiple snapshots being taken in any given cycle. There are actually 16 snapshots per cycle, one of which will be randomly selected to be the official snapshot for this cycle. For the current cycle, one of the snapshots taken in cycle 65 will be randomly selected and will be known at the beginning of cycle 67. The reason why multiple snapshots are taken during a cycle is to prevent artificial fluctuation in the price of Tezos. Imagine, for example, a case where instead of we had a single snapshot at the beginning of each cycle that determined baking rights. People could buy Tez, stake them, wait for that snapshot to be taken. After the snapshot, they could just sell their Tez, wait 2.8 days. The 2.8 days happens to be the duration of a cycle, and then buy them back and rinse and repeat. So this will create an artificial rise in the price of Tezos right before the snapshot, followed by a price drop right after it. The consequence will be an artificial waving pattern in the price of Tezos. The developers of Tezos have chosen to take 16 snapshots per cycle to avoid this situation, which comes to about 1 every 256 blocks, or roughly every 256 minutes. Then, the randomly selected snapshot is revealed 2 cycles later. Now, to illustrate all the features our dashboard can offer, we'll take a look at the Hayek Lab Delegator, an account that we will use as an example. This particular delegator was chosen for this presentation because it contains a lot of activities happening in many cycles. Let's click on the drop-down type table for cycle 72. First, we can see that our delegator received a deposit of his baking rewards for cycle 64 and were paid in cycle 65. This is because Hayek Lab has an early rewards payment policy for its delegators. As long as our reserve will allow it, Hayek Lab will make reward payments right after the baking cycle, while they are still frozen by the network. Rewards will be frozen by the network for 5 cycles after the baking cycle. Therefore, bakers will typically pay the rewards to their customers once the rewards are unfrozen by the network 5 cycles after the end of the baking cycle. By depositing rewards earlier, Hayek Lab is giving our delegators the opportunity to reinvest their Tez faster and leverage more rewards in incoming cycles. Let's look at another baking cycle, such as cycle 67. The corresponding snapshot is cycle 60. We can also see 3 deposits: the rewards payment from Hayek Lab and 2 other deposits, 186 Tez and 323 Tez, likely by the delegator himself. Luckily for him, we see that the selected snapshot was after all of these deposits. Had the snapshot happened before these deposits, their delegation would have been accounted for only in baking cycle 68. Now let's take a look at cycle 63. This is a very interesting cycle for this delegator. We can see a deposit for baking rewards made for cycle 55, followed right after by a snapshot done in cycle 56 for cycle 63. Then the delegator made a deposit of 278 Tez. Unfortunately for him, the snapshot happened just before his deposit. By consequence, this deposit will only be participating in a staking cycle for cycle 64 and beyond. We can also see that our delegator decided to leave Hayek Lab, but after about 2 hours later realized it was a bad idea and came back. In a hypothetical case where the snapshot would have happened right after he left Hayek Lab, in other words, while he delegated to another baker, this delegator would have expected to receive his rewards for baking cycle 63 from the other baker, not from Hayek Lab, but only for cycle 63 since he came back to Hayek Lab right after. In reality, the snapshot happened before he left us and came back, therefore the delegation remained associated with Hayek Lab. Using the drop-down table for cycle 65, which is the current cycle, we can see the snapshot recorded a balance of 8,504 Tez. That was our delegator's balance at the moment of the snapshot. Notice that the snapshot happened right after the deposit for baking rewards. Going further back in time now, when our delegator decided to delegate with Hayek Lab for the first time, we can see the very first non-zero balance, a little more cycle here, is at cycle 45. Looking at the drop-down table, the corresponding snapshot was at cycle 38. The snapshot followed right after his delegation, making his first baking participation in cycle 45. Now you can see how a new delegator can understand the relationship between cycles, snapshots, and baking rewards with our dashboard. The list of transactions in this presentation illustrates exactly what a delegator can expect by using our delegation service. I hope this explanation was helpful to you. Leave your comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share. Be the first to know when we come out with new videos. Subscribe to Hayek Lab YouTube channel. Coming up soon, we'll have interviews, commentaries, discussion, explainers, and more. For any questions or inquiries, you can always reach us through hayeklab.com/contact. All right, thanks for watching and take care.